Consumatum est!
We all know the heroes of the Philippine Revolution, but do you know who they ran to when their spirits ran low? Whose shelter did they seek when the law was running after them? Who provided them wisdom, protection, love, and fierce devotion in victory, and more so in defeat? And most importantly, who helped bankroll their dream of a free Philippines? The godmother of heroes, Gliceria Marella, Viuda de Villavicencio. Let us revisit her life through a tour of her house and find out why it's home of the Philippine Revolutionary Forces. She was born on May 13, 1852. She grew up to become a tall, attractive woman with a dignified bearing. Through her aristocratic and graceful beauty shone the firmness of her virtues. In October 1871, she married Eulalio Villavicencio. Their wedding was a celebration in the grand style befitting the union of two prominent and wealthy Batangueño families. It was attended by the highest civil and military authorities of the province. This house was in fact the wedding gift of the groom to his new wife. But this grand occasion was suddenly eclipsed by a tragic event. After a botched-up uprising against the Spanish, 3 Filipino priests, Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, were executed. This was a turning point in the newly married couple. It awakened a sense of heroism. The fight for independence ignited their souls. Their magnificent house bore witness to unforgettable scenes of bravery, sometimes involving the heroes of the revolution themselves in their fight towards freedom. The first secret assemblies of the revolution were held in these rooms. Brave men like General Miguel Malvar made their sacred vows and plotted the first strategies of the rebellion. The hushed voice of Andres Bonifacio and the muffled pitter-patter of his feet also echoed within these halls. By the dim light of a flickering lamp, he held secret meetings with other heroes like Felipe Calderon and Feliciano Hoxon to strategize attacks and form a military junta. Ironically, Spanish General José de la Chambre was lodged just a few meters away in one of the 2 twin houses. With the solid as steel discretion of the Villavicencios and their staff, the revolutionary meetings were never discovered. In January 1892, Don Eulalio went to Hong Kong bringing an 18,000 peso contribution to Jose Rizal to help finance his patriotic work. The contribution may have been written up on this very desk. As the fight for freedom heightened, Doña Gliceria became responsible for storage of revolutionary arms and ammunitions. To transport them, she stacked the guns on her carriage or on a cart pulled by a carabao, then covered them with ears of corn or peanuts. Then she rode in front, keeping her elegance and composure, as she stealthily delivered the guns into her house for safekeeping. Spanish authorities have suspected Doña Gliceria's residence as a safe house for important documents. They have raided the house so many times, yet no shred of incriminating evidence was ever found. Doña Gliceria's feisty front and her ingenious way of hiding the evidence proved very effective. One time, the Guardia Civil were ordered to search and confiscate books containing the names of high-ranking revolutionists who have received cash donations. She ushered the officers into the rooms calmly, but excused herself to attend to her son, who was suffering from a bad accident. She took this chance to slip into the kitchen to pass the incriminating volumes to her neighbor. But there were some more books that she couldn't take out of the room, so she placed the books on a bed called her sister-in-law to lie down on top of them. Doña Marella then covered her with a blanket to make her look sick. The Guardia Civil, disarmed by the sight of a sick and distressed family, decided to leave. Eventually, the Spaniards caught up with the Villavicencios. They managed to charge Don Eulalio with sedition. He was taken to Bilibid prison where he was jailed. It was in private chambers such as these where Doña Marella retreated, the sole witnesses to her deep sorrow. For she never showed anyone any sign of disheartening throughout her husband's time in jail. When the Spaniards offered her husband's freedom in exchange for information about the revolutionaries, she declared, "I love my husband very much, as very few wives can love, but I would consider myself unworthy of bearing his surname if I am to obtain his freedom by means of such treachery." After a few months, a thin and frail Don Eulalio was released. He went home to spend his few remaining months with his wife, and he died, a hero of the revolution. Unfazed by this tragedy, Doña Marella retook possession of her fortune and gave possibly the most important contribution to the revolution. Its first warship, the SS Bulusan. It sailed regularly from Batangas to Manila and back, transporting soldiers, ammunitions, and food until it was hit directly by cannon fire from Spanish gunboats and sunk with the revolutionary flags unfurled. This dining room was also the setting of so many sacrifices that Doña Gliceria and her children had to endure. An American commandant remarked, "Her love of country was so great that she begged her children to deprive themselves of their comforts and caprices, to the extreme of eating corn mixed with rice, because she feared she would be short of the precious cereal to give to the soldiers who were on the battlefield." Doña Gliceria Marella lived a life of sacrifice, giving, guiding, loving, and eventually dying for the country, whom she loved even more than her own children. Perhaps, her zeal is best captured in a passage from her letter to General Marasigan. "You well know I am willing to shed my last drop of blood for the good of our country. I have sacrificed everything, even what is most sacred to me, my husband's life, and if necessary, my fortune and life, and that of my children, for the freedom of the Philippines." This is perhaps why General Emilio Aguinaldo named her Godmother of the Philippine Revolutionary Forces.